Hey gang, it's Zane. I thought after Crow showed us her wonderful studio setup in her home, including all the amazing basses, if you want to see basses, you need to go to Wales and go to Bassland, located at Crow's home. Anyway, I thought I would show you my setup. I have a lot of stuff down here, but I also have a lot of stuff instrument-wise that are like upstairs, so you don't get to see it all. I basically have a museum of guitars and basses and stuff, and if you look over here in the office, you can see another one. But this is the main room. That right there in the bottom right-hand corner, that's a Fender Champ. That's 60 years old, people. That's a classic. So I've got a bunch of stuff mounted on the walls, including acoustic tiles, which helps with some of the reverb. Here are two Takaminis, one which I've had since I was a kid and is probably the best sounding acoustic guitar I've ever played. It's tuned to an open tuning. And then the black one is the same Takamine that Bruce Springsteen plays, and I also have that tuned to an open tuning as well, a different open tuning. Great sounding guitar. This right here is something I just used. This is a 4-string fretless bass. And I just used this to record something that I just did. And it's a great sounding bass. I just wish I played it more because it does sound great. I got my first mandolin here. Workstation that ultimately gets cluttered all the time with just junk. Windscreen for the microphone when I pull it out. I've got a couple really nice mics. This right here is an old Charvel Jackson guitar that I use for a Roland guitar synthesizer. Which I really don't use anymore, but just in case, I have it ready to go. My mandola. This right here is a BC Rich Mockingbird bass, and I love this bass. This is a big, heavy rocking bass when I'm playing rock and roll and just hammering. Even some slapping. Believe it or not, this bass is really good, and it's not like it's the greatest bass in the world. I think I picked it up for $350 15 years ago. But it's just solid. A couple more guitars. This is a handmade carving guitar. It's a stereo guitar. It needs to be set up. I did some destruction on it some years back when I used to play live. It's never been the same, but I've always held on to it because one day I'm going to properly set this up. This is a really nice Jackson, which shreds. Love this guitar. This is a classic Roland Jazz Chorus 120. I have a Marshall in the other room, but I rarely use it just because I use my the pedal board I'll show you and some of the digital audio workstation effects for amplifier simulation. But yeah, I kind of scuttled the Marshall, but every once in a while I do use this. This has got a great classic clean sound, and believe it or not, it's got a great crunch distortion sound when I feed like analog or even some of the digital stuff into it. I love this amp. I've always loved this amp. I've hung on to it for 30 years, and it's never let me down. A couple travel guitars. I have 3 of the Baby Taylors upstairs. They fit in an overhead compartment in a plane, and they sound great. This particular one, the Backpacker by Marshall, is kind of famous because it was used in a song by a woman whom I can't recall right now, but she wrote the song called "I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It." She actually recorded it with this guitar, and I've actually recorded with this guitar too. It's got a unique sound, so nice guitar to have. This trellis that you're looking at, it's actually a green screen setup. I have a 12 by 12 green screen that clamps into place, and used to use it for production and pitch videos years back ago when I was running my animation studio into the ground. But it could be used right now for amazing YouTube videos. I just don't have the time. This right here is actually a grow tent, and I won't tell you what's growing inside right now. You can probably guess, but it also makes for an excellent vocal booth. Yes, you have to either sit down or get on your knees, but it's amazing how efficient this thing is. And I've had some friends over and they've used it, and even they've remarked, "Wow." So rather than spend $1,000 to make an actual proper vocal booth, this is what $60 gets you, and it does double duty, so I've been quite pleased with it. I got a couple keyboards here. Up top is a very old Yamaha digital workstation, but it still works great. It's got great sounds. It's MIDI. You can actually do complete projects just on this alone, which I did 20 years ago. But you know, still keep it. Still works. Still is great. Has nice lights. Love the lights. This is a Casio Previa digital piano, grand piano. It's got weighted keys. 88 keys, so it's like having a grand piano. I don't have the room for a grand piano or even a baby grand, but this works great. In the main workstation area over here, so I've got another keyboard that I primarily use going through the computer. I trigger a lot with this. It's got some nice knobs and effects and whatnot that give me some additional access to things that are quite useful. A couple near-field monitors. I have some large monitors, but they're boxed in the garage. I just never had the time to properly pull them out and then mount them up on the walls. It would just take God knows how long, and I don't use this. So everything comes through the laptop, and then I've got two 24-inch monitors, and then like Crow, I also use a Zoom. I'm not sure if she uses the R16 or R24, but between the Zoom or my Alesis, which is a really nice small digital mixer that has great dynamic range, I can usually do what I need to do. It all feeds into my interface here, and then the guitar stuff is mainly done with this IBP10. It's a pedal board, and your iPad actually plugs into it. This is great. I demoed this when I was in I was outside Miami, and I demoed this and just fell in love with it. You plug your iPad in, and there's just a million different effects that you can choose. Amplifier models, I mean, you name it. They're all modeled on famous brands. They just change the name. But it is absolutely incredible what you can do with this thing. It has a built-in expression pedal, a million different pedals. I use my main guitar right here, an Ibanez. And so I usually go through this, and then it goes all into here. And, you know, like Crow, I also use, in terms of my plugins, I use Addictive Drums. Although, unlike Crow, I do not have a electronic physical kit. I always wanted one because I can play drums. But again, I've moved around so much in the last 15 years. And in the last couple of years, I just really haven't been focused on music. I just never picked one up. So I just program it out. But I mean, just to give you a quick demonstration of what you can do, and again, this is just something I did about 10 minutes before I recorded this really quickly. This is what, you know, digital audio workstation and equipment allows you to do quickly without patch panels and cabling and all this stuff we used to do back in the day when I was an audio engineer, you know, in New York City, where I got my degree from the Institute of Audio Research, which recently closed in 2014. I'm an analog guy. You can do amazing stuff. This is actually PreSonus, the software is PreSonus Studio One 2 Pro, and it's created by the people that created Cubase, which is what Crow uses. They left the company. I'm not sure why, dissatisfaction, money, but I was recording at Sony, at a Sony studio, as part of a project, and I was doing about 4 or 5 songs in this studio that Sony ran. Huge studio, just amazing. And the engineer uses Cubase, but he recommended, because I'm newer to DAW, only in the last 10 years I've played with Pro Tools, but it's you know, it's so convoluted, and I'm ADD. So he recommended this because it's the Cubase founders breaking away to form this recording software. And he claimed, and he's right, it's really intuitive. You can just pick it up and start using it. It has all the functionality of Cubase, all the plugins. I mean, it's great. It's consistently ranked in the top 3 or 4. And I know nothing, but I've been able to do stuff. And so this is what I did in like 10 minutes just before this video, just to give you, you know, an idea of what's possible and what it can sound like. So that's my studio. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care now.